The evolution is back, and now it is time to witness the origin. Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here, so it's time for the next review in my review series for the film series being the X-Men movies. And this time is going to be for another prequel movie, but thankfully not a spin-off prequel, which I've already done a trash talk for. But this time, it's for the start of a new trilogy, which is a prequel to, of course, the original trilogy, until, of course, certain events in the second installment. And this, of course, is a prequel film, which focuses on the two main characters from the trilogy being Professor X and Magneto, back when they used to be good friends. And this film, which I'm going to be reviewing, is, of course, none other than 2011's X-Men First Class, which is directed by Matthew Vaughn. So, now, how was this film made then? So, at the time of the film's release, this was intended to be, of course, a reboot for a franchise, but it was then decided to be a prequel to the films with the next installment. And this film also takes place in 1962 during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it focuses, of course, on the relationship between Charles and Eric. And producer Lauren Schuler Donner first thought of a prequel based on the Young X-Men during production of X-Men 2, and producer Simon Kinberg later suggested to 20th Century Fox an adaptation of the comic book series X-Men First Class. But the film doesn't follow this comic closely, however. And then when it comes as well to the director of the first two films, Bryan Singer, who I unfortunately have lost respect for, he only worked on this as a producer and a co-writer due to work on other projects, and as a result, Matthew Vaughn became the director. And he wrote the final script with his writing partner Jane Goldman. Filming began in August 2010 and concluded in December, with additional filming completed in April 2011, with locations including Oxford, the Mojave Desert, and Georgia, with soundstage work done in both Pinewood Studios and the 20th Century Fox stages in Los Angeles. And the depiction of the 1960s also drew inspiration from the James Bond films of the period. The film premiered in Ziegfeld Theatre on May 25, 2011, and was released in the United States on June 3, 2011. It was a box office success, and received positive reviews from critics and audiences who praised its acting, screenplay, direction, action sequences, visual effects, and musical score. The film's success repopularised the X-Men film franchise, and rightfully so, because, as you guys know, I absolutely despise X-Men Origins Wolverine, so I think it's true to say that this film saved the franchise. When it comes, of course, to my reaction to this film then, so I can remember watching this film a long time ago when I was a kid. After I absolutely, of course, love the first two films, wasn't much of a fan of The Last Stand, and as you guys also know, I did it also see Origins Wolverine at school, and I hated it. But on another day at school, another teacher played this film, and when I saw this film, I absolutely loved it. Like, compared to a trash, which is Origins Wolverine, I absolutely love this film. Definitely, for me, how a prequel should have been done, absolutely. And I've rewatched it many times, and I, of course, have it here on Blu-ray. And the film is definitely, in my opinion, a great film. And if I had respect for Matthew Vaughn, after I, of course, hated his recent film Argyle, I would have regarded this one as one of his best films. So, now what is this film about then? So, as I mentioned before, this film, of course, takes place in 1962 during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it focuses on the friendship between Charles Xavier and Eric Lensher before they, of course, become Professor X and Magneto. And it focuses on the origin of their groups being the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Mutants, as they deal with the Hellfire Club led by Sebastian Shaw, who's played by Kevin Bacon, a mutant supremacist bent on enacting nuclear war. So, now when it comes to what I think is great about this film then, so I personally think this film has lots of great actors in this. So, for example, Charles Xavier is played in this by James McAvoy, and James McAvoy is a great actor, and I think he did a really amazing job playing Charles Xavier in this film. And he definitely as well came prepared because, as a bit of a fun fact, guys, he did shave his head for a role so he could play Xavier being bald, but he was told that he wouldn't be bald in this film just yet, so he had to wear hair extensions, which is pretty funny. But in this film, he gave a great performance in this, and he took inspiration from Sir Patrick Stewart's portrayal in the trilogy before, and And you can definitely tell in his mannerisms and his personality that he had him a role. He definitely did a really great job playing a younger version of Stuart's character while making it his own thing at the same time. And I think he did it really well, in my opinion. And he was also a great casting for the role too, because he's also a fan of the X-Men animated series as well, which is definitely really awesome. So I definitely do love that. So yeah, James McAvoy was definitely great casting, and I regard Xavier as one of his best roles, absolutely. And onto as well, who is probably, in my opinion, the best part of this film and the films featuring the younger versions of the X-Men in this new trilogy. I definitely absolutely loved Michael Fassbender as Magneto. Now, I definitely regard this film as having Michael Fassbender's best performance of his career, in my opinion, because he's a phenomenal actor, one of my favourites of all time. I think he's easily the best part of this movie, in my opinion. And I absolutely loved his story in this, where he wants to get revenge for the death of his parents in the Holocaust. Because, obviously, of course, Sebastian Shaw shoots his mother back when he used to go by the alias of Klaus Schmidt. And Magneto, of course, wants revenge. And I definitely really loved the story. Like, why is it that we didn't get a film where Magneto was hunting those involved in his parents' death? Like, I'd really love to see an entire film about Magneto hunting those who killed his parents. Like, I really love to see him. Like, we should go back instead of ordinary Wolverine, in my opinion. But I guess you could say this is kind of that, really. Just focuses on Xavier as well as Magneto, really. But Michael Fassbender just absolutely nailed it in this. And it's why I regard him as one of my favourite actors of all time. My favourite Irish actor, and one of my favourite actors in general. Because he's a phenomenal actor, Michael Fassbender. His scenes in this are just so awesome to watch, in my opinion. Especially his revenge scenes. They're just so satisfying to watch. And he definitely owns the role of Magneto, in my opinion. Definitely, in my opinion, he's my favourite Magneto of all time to this day, absolutely. And also as well, when it comes to other supporting heroes in this, I did also as well like the casting as well of Nicholas Hoult as Beast in this film. I think he did a really good job playing a younger version of Kelsey Grammer's character. And I think he played him really well in this film, in my opinion. And I'm also say that he's got a very convincing American accent for a role too as well. Because, of course, he's British in real life. He's got a very good American accent for a role. Definitely very well done, in my opinion. And I think he played him really well in this. And when it comes to the mutants, of course, who are recruited, I definitely really like their casting as well. Thought it was also worth. I liked Caleb Laundrie Jones as Banshee. I thought he did really well in this, playing Banshee. Who of course has the ability to scream lots of strong ultrasonic screams, which was pretty cool. And also as well, Eddie Gaffegi as Darwin, who of course has the ability to adapt to survive, which is why it's called Darwin. Or Armando Munoz. And also as well, I did also as well love Lucas Till as Alex Summers, who of course is Havoc, and also like Cyclops' brother. And now when it comes as well to Mystique in this film then, so what I will say is, I have lost respect for Jennifer Lawrence recently, and I'm personally not a fan of her, but I will say that in this film and the next film, she's slightly taller as Mystique compared to how she is in later films, in my opinion. But I really miss Rebecca Romijn as Mystique, and I personally don't understand why we couldn't get her back to reprise her role, because the character doesn't age, so couldn't we have got her back? And I'm also sure we could have easily concealed that Rebecca Romijn got older since The Last Stand because of her makeup. It could have hidden her age. So I personally don't understand why we couldn't have got her back to reprise the role of Mystique, in my opinion. It was only 5 years after The Last Stand anyway. But she does have a cameo appearance for in this film briefly, which was added in as a joke apparently. But I really do wish that she appeared as proper Mystique for the whole thing, really, to be completely honest. And when it comes to supporting human characters who aren't mutants, I did like Rose Byrne in this as Moira McTaggart. I thought she was really good in this. Definitely, in my opinion, one of her best roles. She was a very good actress, in my opinion, Rose Byrne. I did also as well like Oliver Platt in this as the Man in Black, who is of course implied to be of course the head of Division X, and he of course is in charge of a government agency working with the X, which is pretty cool. So I did like that. And he was what it was worth a likeable character. But it's a shame he got killed off, sadly. And I did also as well like the hint towards as well William Stryker in this, because his father has a cameo appearance in it, which is pretty cool, where he was played by Don Creech. And also as well, when it comes as well to cameos in this film, this one has a pretty hilarious cameo from the absolute legend Hugh Jackman, where he reprises as Wolverine in a bar, and where of course Xavier and Lensha are recruiting mutants, and they find him at a bar. They introduce themselves to him, and of course, he responds to them with "Go F yourself," which is just absolutely hilarious, and always gets a laugh at me when I rewatch a movie. And as a fun fact as well, guys, in previous takes, Hugh Jackman said "F off" 7 times in 7 takes, but in the last take, he instead said "Go F yourself," just because he wanted to say something new, and what's funny as well is that because he said that instead of saying "F off," James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender's reactions were authentic in that scene. That was the actual reaction, which is just so funny. And when it comes as well to the final scene in the Cuban Missile Crisis, I did also like as well the appearances of actors such as, for example, Michael Ironside and Oleg Krupa as the generals on respective ships, you know, for the Americans and the Soviets, which was definitely really cool to see them. They're both great actors. I also like the supporting appearance of Glenn Marshall as Colonel Henry. I know Glenn Marshall appearing in lots of roles where he plays like soldier type of characters or general characters, so it's pretty cool to see him appearing this as a colonel. And when it comes as well to the film's villains, aside from, of course, Magneto, who I've just talked about, who is kind of like a protagonist at the start of the film, then of course he becomes the leader of Brotherhood we all know and love. I did love the casting of Kevin Bacon as Sebastian Shaw, and I think he did a really great job of playing Sebastian Shaw. Definitely, for me, one of the best roles I've seen from Kevin Bacon. He's a great actor, and I think he did a really great job in this film. And I've also got to give him lots of praise for speaking different languages too, because at the start of the film he's speaking German. There's also scenes where he's speaking Russian as well. So I've got to give him lots of praise for learning those languages for scenes, and I think he did really well in this movie. And I, of course, also loved Magneto's revenge story where he was hunting down Shaw. And the scene where he does kill Shaw by putting the coin through his brain, just like how he intended to at the start of the film, just brilliant in my opinion. And just absolutely incredible, really, like what we did with Sebastian Shaw in this movie. Just a great villain in my opinion. And definitely a villain that you want, you know, the hero to defeat because of a revenge story. And I think Kevin Bacon pulled off really well in this film. And I also, as well, definitely, liked the other supporting members of the Hellfire Club for what it was also worth. Although I will say maybe they deserved a bit more development and screen time, to be completely honest. I mean, I thought January Jones was decent for what it was worth as Emma Frost, in my opinion. And also Zoe Kravitz as Angel Salvador, and also Jason Fleming as Azazel. And who, as a fun fact, is Nightcrawler's dad as well, but it's never implied at all in these films he's Nightcrawler's dad for some reason. Or Mystique is his mother. And also, as well, Alex Gonzalez as Riptide, who has the ability to create whirlwinds from his hands and body. So I think for what it was worth, the Hellfire Club actors did their best what we were given, although I will say that they deserve more development and screen time, in my opinion. And also, as well, aside from this good cast of actors, I did also, as well, love the film's story. I think it's definitely, in my opinion, a way better prequel film than Audience Wolverine was, in my opinion. Like, just, in my opinion, everything bad that Audience Wolverine had was thankfully, in my opinion, not in this film. Because, for one thing, in my opinion, the CGI was miles better. The visual effects were absolutely stunning. Considering the film was 13 years old, I think it's aged really well, in my opinion. And for one, the story is also, in my opinion, much better because it's a story that I care about. And thankfully, several characters also aren't really underused much compared to Audience Wolverine, in my opinion. Although there are some which I do think deserve more screen time, which I'll get to in the bad qualities. And I also, as well, definitely really love the musical score composed by Henry Jackman. Henry Jackman's a great composer, and my favourite track he composed in this film is definitely Magneto's theme itself. It's definitely, in my opinion, one of the best villain theme songs I've ever heard in my life. It's a shame it's not really been used in the franchise since this film, really, because it's a great theme song. Like, I love its usage at the start when we get introduced to Michael Fassbender as an adult Magneto. Like, that scene alone is just proof that he's a phenomenal actor, because no dialogue, but you can see the pure rage in his face when he's about to throw a coin onto the picture of Klaus Schmidt. And the music in the background, just incredible. And then also the music in the bar scene in Argentina. Like, the bar scene in particular is actually my favourite scene in the film because I just love that scene so much. And I've also got to give lots of praise to Michael Fassbender in this film for learning different languages too, like Kevin Bacon did, because he, of course, learned German and also French and Spanish for this film, which is definitely really awesome. Then again, I think it fitted well for Michael Fassbender because he's fluent in German anyway, so yeah. But it's really cool that he spoke so many languages in this film, so I've got to give lots of praise for that. Same with Kevin Bacon and the actors who spoke different languages. But that bar scene is brilliant, and I especially love the score in Michael Frankenstein's Monster, which of course is a reference to Magneto's call, which is, let's just say I'm Frankenstein's monster, and I'm looking for my creator. Oh, I just love that quote so much. Just amazing. And the music is just awesome in this movie. And also the theme when the X-Men are training is also brilliant too. And I also as well love the track called Radiant Serenity when Magneto moves a satellite dish. Just a powerful track right there, just beautiful in my opinion. And it fits the scene so well. And it's chilling every time I'm listening to it, just beautiful in my opinion. All the pleasure to listen to the soundtrack in this movie. And the film also does a great job answering some unanswered questions from the trilogy, because one question I've been meaning to ask since it's all a trilogy is, how did Professor X lose his ability to walk? And this film finally confirms it, because Mama Tiger tries to shoot Magneto after he, of course, is of course blocking the missiles. She shoots him, but he accidentally deflects a bullet into Xavier's spine, which paralyzes him. So I'm so glad this film answered that question, because it's one I've been meaning to ask since the whole trilogy, and my answer was finally there in this movie. So, I definitely really think this film was great. Definitely how you do a prequel movie, and Magneto was definitely my favourite part of this movie, absolutely. No question asked about that. We've also an exciting cliffhanger at the end, of course, where he's become the leader of Brotherhood we all know and love. And he says he prefers the name Magneto, which is pretty awesome. So he lived up to his name. It's a shame it came from Mystique for all characters. You know, his and Professor X's nicknames came from Mystique for some reason. However, now when it comes to a film's bad quality, so I've already said that I do tolerate Mystique in this slightly compared to Apocalypse and the worst one in my opinion, Dark Phoenix. But still, I really do miss Roman Hill as Mystique. And when it comes as well other bad qualities I do also have, I do feel that members of the Hellfire Club, aside from Sebastian Shaw himself, were pretty underutilised, underdeveloped in my opinion, because, for example, Azazel and Riptide, in my opinion, didn't have very much to do in this movie, not much screen time. Not to mention, Riptide is silent for some reason, no dialogue, which is pretty confusing in my opinion. Like, why would you cast Alex Gonzalez in this film when you're going to give him no dialogue? Like, come on. And also, as well, I also, as well, definitely also think that Emma Frost may have been a bit bland in some cases too, which is a bit of a shame, really. I mean, Jamie Jones did go what she was given, but I feel the character was a bit bland in my opinion and one-dimensional. And sadly, of course, I can see why this film made Jamie Jones go back to a TV career following this movie, which is a bit of a shame, really. But nonetheless, for still, she tried her best in this film for what it was worth, in my opinion. And also, as well, when it comes to the X-Men themselves, I also didn't like how Darwin was also underused too, because I thought he was a pretty cool character, how, of course, he literally has the ability to adapt to survive, which is why it's called Darwin, as in Charles Darwin. But sadly, though, of course, he was killed off, which was a big shame, really. So that really sucked. But nonetheless, I still think X-Men First Class is a great movie, and it's definitely, in my opinion, a great prequel, absolutely. And of course, it paved way for what is my favourite X-Men movie of all time, 3 years later, of course, which I'll be reviewing in a couple of weeks. I'll try to review a second Wolverine spin-off movie, which I'm definitely excited to do. So, if I was to give X-Men First Class a score out of 10, I'd probably give it a very solid score of 8.5 out of 10, in my opinion, because it's a great film, absolutely. Just a few issues here and there, but still, in my opinion, a great film. So, this is me, of course, doing my review for X-Men First Class. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to leave in the comments what you guys think of X-Men First Class if you've seen it. Leave in the comments below. Also, be sure to join the team by pressing subscribe for more coming in the future. And I'll see you all later.